The drama surrounding Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark has always been one of the most electric storylines in women's basketball. Since their days in college, they've represented two sides of the same storm. Fierce competitors whose rivalry brought the sport into mainstream conversation. But no one could have predicted the wild twist that came next. The rumor that the Indiana Fever owner, Steve Simon, tried to orchestrate a trade that would unite these two forces under one roof. What began as a dream of marketing brilliance quickly spiraled into one of the most controversial behind-the-scenes stories in WNBA history. A tale of power, money, ego, and control. When Caitlin Clark arrived in Indiana, she didn't just join a team, she transformed it into a global brand. Every game became a sellout, every jersey flew off the shelves, and every move she made became headline news. For Steve Simon, a businessman before anything else, this was just the beginning. He wanted to double down on the hype and create something even bigger. Something that would make the Fever not just a basketball team, but a cultural phenomenon. That's when the idea hit him. Bring in Angel Reese, the one player whose personality, talent, and boldness could match Clark's spotlight. Two rivals turned teammates. Fire and ice, controversy, and composure under one jersey. The thought of it was pure gold, at least in Simon's mind. To Simon, this wasn't about rebounds or defensive rotations. It was about business. He saw beyond the court. He envisioned media frenzies, endless sponsorships, and the kind of attention that would make Indiana the center of every sports discussion in America. But as he quietly floated the idea through back channels, whispers began to circulate. First among agents, then players, and finally the locker room itself. What was once an ambitious idea started morphing into something far more dangerous. Suddenly, people weren't just asking if it could work. They were asking if it should. Inside the Fever organization, the reaction was divided. Some thought it was genius, a move that could make the WNBA's first true super team. Others called it madness, a ticking time bomb that would blow up the fragile chemistry they'd worked so hard to build. Even members of the Pacers organization, who share ownership ties with the Fever, questioned whether this was a basketball decision or a PR stunt. Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, stayed quiet. No interviews, no statements, no reactions. But silence, as always, speaks volumes. Sources close to her hinted that while she respected Angel Reese's game, she wasn't sure their styles or their energies would ever blend. And it wasn't just about basketball. Everyone knew what that partnership would mean in today's media world. Every practice would be recorded. Every look would be interpreted. Every minor disagreement would become a trending topic. For someone like Clark, whose every word already makes national headlines, it was a nightmare scenario. Her team, heavily tied to multi-million-dollar deals with brands like Nike and Wilson, reportedly reached out to the Fever front office for clarity. What exactly was happening behind closed doors? That one phone call reportedly changed everything. Once Clark's camp got involved, the tone inside the franchise shifted overnight. Suddenly, the Fever weren't just managing a team, they were managing an empire with one very powerful figure at the center of it. The locker room, once calm after a turbulent season, began to feel uneasy again. Some players were intrigued by the idea. They saw Reese as a physical powerhouse who could bring toughness and take pressure off stars like Aaliyah Boston. Others feared the move would turn the Fever into a reality show instead of a contender. Even head coach Stephanie White, who'd spent months rebuilding team morale, found herself caught in the middle. She admired Angel's grit, but worried that pairing her with Clark would turn every game into a media circus. Practices became tense, players whispered behind closed doors, and every eye waited to see how Caitlin would respond. But she didn't have to. Her silence was louder than any statement. Despite the growing discomfort, Steve Simon pressed on. He believed controversy sold tickets and that star power, no matter how chaotic, meant growth. He compared his vision to Magic Johnson and Larry Bird joining forces, a cultural moment that transcended sports. To him, it wasn't about balance or basketball fit. It was about spectacle. But while Simon was chasing headlines, his basketball staff grew increasingly alarmed. They warned him that pushing two rivals together could shatter trust within the team. Yet Simon was relentless. In his mind, the risk was worth it. He wanted Indiana at the center of every conversation, and he didn't care if it came with heat. Eventually, talks reached Chicago's front office, home of Angel Reese in the sky. That's where the fantasy met reality. Chicago wasn't going to let their rising star go cheaply. Reports claimed the asking price included future draft picks and one of Indiana's core players, possibly Lexi Hull or Nalissa Smith. For Indiana, that was a line they wouldn't cross. Within days, the discussion fizzled. The deal was dead before it even began. But the damage was already done. The rumor had leaked, social media went into overdrive, and the public started assigning blame. Some accused Clark's camp of blocking the trade. Others claimed Reese didn't want to play second to anyone. The truth got lost in the noise, and all that remained was chaos. By the next morning, Indiana's front office was scrambling to contain the fallout. Behind the scenes, Simon was frustrated and embarrassed. What he thought would be a visionary move now looked like a disaster. His attempt to bring in a second superstar only highlighted the divide inside his own organization. A tug of war between those chasing headlines and those chasing wins. Coach White was exhausted. The players were uneasy, and Clark, as always, let her performance on the court do the talking. But even her silence spoke to her influence. Within the Fever, one thing became undeniable. Caitlin Clark wasn't just the face of the franchise. She was the franchise. The collapse of this idea exposed a growing power struggle that extends beyond one team. Across the WNBA, a new reality has emerged. Stars now carry as much influence as owners. Every rumor, every leak, every hypothetical deal becomes a viral event that shapes public perception. The league's executives may talk about teamwork and professionalism, but behind the scenes, they're dealing with forces far bigger than basketball. Players like Clark and Reese have transcended the game. They've become brands, movements, and symbols. That's both a blessing and a curse. The attention drives growth, but it also creates volatility. One bad rumor can shake a franchise to its core, and yet, despite the failed trade, the intrigue hasn't faded. Insiders say Simon may still be hunting for a big move, something to put the Fever back in the spotlight. Maybe it won't be Reese next time, but the ambition hasn't gone away. Because whether fans love it or hate it, one thing is clear: this kind of drama sells. It keeps people watching, talking, and investing in a league that's finally learning how to embrace entertainment value. But there's a fine line between building excitement and losing control, and the Indiana Fever just danced right on the edge of it. So, what do you think? Could Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have truly coexisted, or would the experiment have burned down the Fever from the inside? Was Steve Simon a visionary ahead of his time, or did he let business blind him to reality? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the wildest offseason rumors in WNBA history, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because as this league keeps growing, the drama is only getting started, and we'll be right here, breaking down every twist, every rivalry, and every shocking move that defines the future of women's basketball.